It's another Wednesday on Women Series. Thank you for sticking by as always. And if it is your first time joining us on Women Series, this is Women Series where we capture developments and stories that impact women. Now, speaking of stories, Veronica last week recounted a story which was quite emotional. I mean, it got me teared up. I was crying at some point. And Veronica is just one out of a million girls, or the girl child, or even children generally, who come from unprivileged background, either as a result of problems in their home, societal problems, or even external influences. And in the case of Veronica, she's a victim of parental negligence. That's from her father's side, who regardless did not allow our situation to break her. But then my question is, why exactly do we have such parents? Why? Where do they come from? How did we get there? Why do we have such parents? Well, I'm not an expert in that field, and that is why I have someone with me today to speak on the role of parenting and how it can affect morals and the upbringing of the child, especially the girl child. I'm speaking with a parent coach, Ofonime Bassey. Hello, Ofonime. Thank you for joining us today. I'm delighted to be speaking with you.
Thank you so much. I'm also excited to be here. Thank you, Ayomide.
You're welcome. So let's quickly go straight into parenting. I mean, parenting is always a reflection of our best selves and our worst selves. Now, despite good intentions and efforts, every parent has deficits or deficits which can harm children with a lifelong trauma and even hell or even death. Now, in a world full of imperfect adults, which some of them are parents, what is the fate of an innocent child brought to this world?
All right, so first and foremost, I'd like to let everyone know that every child was born clean, as a clean slate. You know about a tabula rasa. Now, whatever is inscribed on that is as a result of their handlers. So before we even go to the children, now let's talk about the parents. So these parents that we are having expectations from, they were born as clean slates, pure. Nothing happened. In fact, they were good, but their parents also were handled in a particular way. Now, the extent of pollution or purity that a child experiences is as a result of his or her handlers. In this case, if the parents knew better, they would act differently. So before we start casting blames on the parents not treating the children well, how were the parents themselves raised? How did they come about it? So you realize that somehow in our society, what qualifies you as a parent is if you're a man, you make a baby with a woman, or you're the woman, you bear a child in your womb. And some cultures even make it so bad that even when it was a mistake, in quotes, that they came together and had that child, society will still want to force them to have these children. Sometimes they force them to go ahead and get married. And let me just paint a picture. If this is a young man and a young woman who had their differences, but just on one night or maybe at one unguarded moment, they came together and they produced a baby. And this baby came and came into their lives. What do you think will happen? Are they psychologically ready for that child? Or maybe they felt they loved each other. They did not think of the future. They didn't know that the finances would be involved. They did not know that a whole lot is involved. And then they now have this baby. They're excited, but 2 months, 3 months down the line, they can't feed the baby. No one is answering them. People are criticizing them. If you did not know how to take care of your child, you wouldn't have given birth. So these are some of the pains and the trauma that they go through. And before you know what's happening, out of frustration, they begin to hate on the child. They begin to hate themselves. The once loving relationship begins to go sour. So before we even cast blame on this parent, how were they raised as well? We are a product of the system that engineered us. I and you know better. If our parents raise us well, there is every possibility that you would also raise your children well. So let us come from that point that they do not know. And that's why I advocate all the time, just like the general courses that we have in our universities. Parenting education should be included. Everybody needs it. Everybody is from a home. And just like you said, if you do not handle it well, there's a lot of havoc that will go on in the society. So for me, I think it should start from there. Parenting education. Everyone, as you grow up in school, introduce it. In the churches, introduce it until everybody knows what is expected of them, and then they'll be able to do better by raising their children. So that's where we start from, rather than just trading blames.
Right. I'm going to get to parenting education, but let's quickly take this question. I love the fact that you also mentioned that this thing is a transitional thing. I mean, it comes from where they are coming from, and then they reflect that, and then it plays out on how they train their children. Now, best parents, you would agree with me that even the best parents also have deficits in their parenting skills. And some of these deficits cause children to feel unloved and uncared for. Now, how do you think that these deficits can be addressed, knowing fully well that there is no manual to parenting? And that brings me back to the parenting education you mentioned.
Okay, actually, there are no manuals. True, manuals as in comprehensive manual.
Exactly.
But the truth of the matter is that if you look at the society right now, there is a lot of parenting education going on. Some time ago, I wrote an article and I said what I wasn't told about missing my period. Why did I write that story? Because I write that article. You get married, you are a child, you get to primary school, get to secondary school, get to the university, and the next thing you're married. Now, we were not taught. We did not know that it involves a lot. So when I went through all my challenges, I had made up my mind from the beginning that as time went on, as I'm getting ready, I'll be educating people around me. And if you look around now, a parenting education the awareness is there now than before. The awareness is there now than before. So even though there is no manual, there are seminars, there are courses. We have avenues like that, that you're using to educate. You also have people that have raised good children, and they should start modeling it. Like they should start teaching. The only thing is that there are people that are doing a great job in parenting, but attention is not focused on them at the moment. Sometimes it's the bad stories, like the cases that we hear. I'm sorry to mention this, like the Chidinma story, like other stories, but they are great stories. So rather than saying we don't have a parenting manual, can those that are doing the right thing model it? Can they teach it? Can we now pay to attend seminars? Can we read books? There are lots of materials out there that even though they may not give you all, but at least if you are there, you would have it. And then you should get support groups. One of the things that made me do what I'm doing is because I went through a lot of challenges when I had a child. So I knew that I went to a different town. I did not have anybody with me. So I made up my mind that after I win my children, in my circle, in my church, when they go to bed, we would go visit. We would go ask, do you need us to help you with anything? Can you bring out the baby clothes for us to wash? Can we have the baby, help you have the baby while you go rest? So support groups like that also can model these things, even though there's no parenting manual, but putting these things, courses, seminars, support groups, all education like you're doing now will help us have a direction or a guide towards parenting our children right.
So would you say that in the case of Veronica, our parents, or let me just say our father, who is a supposed educated man, lacked these parenting skills, and then it became unsafe for her? What are your thoughts on this exactly?
Okay, now that's what I'm saying, that if you look at our school systems, all of us went through school, but you would agree with me that right now after school, we are learning, we are improving ourselves by taking courses on emotional intelligence, social intelligence. There is another education aside from the just theoretical or the one that we are taught in school. So he may have gone to school, he may have been educated supposedly, but did he get the right information? Was it with the right knowledge? Was it with the proper education? So that's what I'm saying, that you can go to school, but you can be naive in something. And I want to let you know that Veronica's father may be a great uncle, may be a great, whether depending on his profession, but it's just that his parenting that is lacking because he does not have the required knowledge there. It requires intentionality on everybody, and whatever you think is important to you, you will invest in it. So even though he has gone to school, like I said, this part was not exposed. He did not know. He may not have had a knowledge. And most of the time, if you trace, most of these parents are living through pain. They also had, like I said, adverse childhood traumas, so experiences. Maybe they are traumatized. They did not know that they have not been healed from it, and they now project it on their children. So it's most likely that Miss Veronica's dad may have other issues that he doesn't even recognize that is a problem. And so not just going to school will solve that. But sitting down through therapy sessions, opening up, asking questions will make him know whether he's actually on the right track parenting or not. So education varies. And I think he needs to get the right education to be able to parent well.
Right. I think you've touched on this last question I'm about to ask you. But then again, let's just establish more that between child abuse and child neglect, these are some of these evils can still be dealt with. I believe they can be dealt with. Now, there are forms of unsafe and unhealthy parenting. How can we establish an actual parenting education, even for the so-called educated people that feel like they know it all? How can we establish parenting education? And then maybe let's take that question first, and then I'll ask the last question.
Okay, how you can establish parenting education is, like I've said, if we can inculcate it in our systems, in educational systems. One, two, in gatherings. See, if we have a government that promotes family. Now, one of the things we forget is that the family is the most important nation on earth. And so if the whole family can if the whole country can acknowledge that the family is the most important nation on earth and the production factory of the society, government organizations, schools, churches, support groups, everybody has that at the back of their mind. Believe you me, things will change. If they promote policy, if they put up policies in place that promote that, so they'll realize that if you go to your place of work and it's emphasized, look, you have to fend for your family, you have to do this for your family, you have to be a good parent, somehow it will drum. They leave their places of work and go to their religious organizations. They drum it there as well. Family is important. Family is key. No matter what you're doing, spend time with your family. If we do not have a plan to raise our children to be good, responsible citizens, they'll be irresponsible and our society will turn out bad. You leave your religious society. You go among your peers. Now, even in birthday parties, until we start becoming intentional, what kind of songs are played for our children in our children's birthday parties? What songs are played in our wedding receptions? I don't know whether you're getting, like, if there is a reorientation everywhere, parenting is promoted in a good light, good values are preached. Before long, everybody will come to that awareness. If possible, create a ministry in the government that deals with that, where there will be a media publications where things will be said. Before long, people will know, oh, maybe this parenting thing is serious. This government is really talking about it. Let's include it, and people will begin to tailor towards the right path. I think that's one of the ways to go about it.
Right. Yeah, I love the fact that you made mention that family is the first point or the first learning point for everyone in any society. And if you can get it right in a family, at the family level, definitely our society becomes better. Now, what is the place of, that's the final question, what is the place of community parenting in today's world? Do you think it's still valid? Do we still, are there, what's it called now? Are there benefits from community parenting?
Yes, there are benefits of community parenting, although because of civilization and all that has happened right now, it's almost difficult. So for me as a professional, what we are promoting now is that even if, let's assume Veronica's case, the father may not be okay, maybe he may not have that understanding.
Yeah.
What about the people that are around Veronica? What about her and if she's working at her place of work? What about in her school? What about in her religious space? Can somebody stand in the gap to bridge whatever neglect that Veronica's father has given? So we are saying that as the projection is that very soon, family will not just be a matter of people that are related to us by blood. We'll have a lot of blended family. We'll now have tribes where if you appreciate my family, someone can say, oh, I love Ofonime Bassey's family. Can I go to her and say, oh, ma'am, please, I would like to be part of your family, irrespective of where you are, and whatever I practice in my home, by extension, I give it to you. But it will be better if it is around you because the impact will be felt. So let's assume you want to, in a family, we have something like open day. I do it in my family and it has been working. Open day is a day where we tell ourselves what each other is doing that we do not like and we correct it. Yeah. So let's assume that I now bring someone, I adopt somebody into that family and the person sees that, wow, we can actually air our grievances or our issues without insulting. And she picks that. And then she also brings another person in the family. Before you know what's happening, it has left my own family. I've extended it. So community parenting is key, but we have to be ready to do that. When you walk past the road and see a child loitering on the road and has not gone to school, do you stop by to ask, hey, you, where are you headed? How are you doing?
Or we just look past.
Or we just use on our business.
Yeah.
It must start from, yes, we just look past. Many people have been saved because of that. I remember an incident I had sometime when I was growing up, because somebody came and asked, why is this girl here? And that was how, in a supermarket, that was how I was saved from a supposed rape, because somebody came to question, why is everybody at the counter and this young girl is somewhere? So if everybody begins to do that, whether that child is yours or not, you just take responsibility for the next person. It is possible. And that's where the community parenting will help. Community will help. So we can do it if we are willing, rather than looking past and be feeling that it's not our business. Because the truth of the matter is that if you are raising your own children and neglecting them, those ones will be a threat, and they'll threaten the peace of even your peaceful children that you have raised.
Right. Thank you very much. I love today's conversation. It was quite apt. The fact that parental education is still key. It is still valid. It is not something that's gone into extinct. It is something that every parent or every intending parent needs to go through. And then we can also inculcate that into our system. And a safe way to end this conversation is to say that a safe and secured childhood starts with educated parenting. And this is a call to action to take collective responsibility for providing the education and resources needed for the parent and the child to have the best possible chance of family life. Thank you very much to our guest for stopping by today. It was such a pleasure speaking with you. I enjoyed every bit of the conversation.
Thank you too. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And by the way, she has a book titled Beyond Childbirth. It's a good read. You might want to check it out. Could you share with us where we can get the book?
Okay, so if you want to get the book, you can just go to www.ofonimebassey.com and place your order right there. Or you could also reach out to me via my contact. So if anyone needs it, I could also give my contact for the person to reach me. But if you go there, www.ofonimebassey.com, everything you need out, it's there for you to get the book.
All right, that's fine. You heard at www.ofonimebassey.com, and you can also reach out on all our social media platforms. And do not forget to also follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. And you can also visit our website to watch more of our videos and our news stories on www.proshareng.com/webtv. Make it a date with me next week as we continue this interesting conversation. And until then, thank you for watching.